You're listening to the Co-Creator Network. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our show tonight. It's been about 2 weeks since our last exciting numerology call-in show, and I've missed you. As always, my show is varied and includes call-in shows, interviews with gifted, interesting, and spiritual individuals, and topics that are educational, both from others and from my own teachings. Tonight, I have a very special guest by the name of Shawn Gallagher. Shawn is a certified hypnotist who has practiced in the Toronto area for about 15 years. And although she's created a specialization in pre-childbirth relaxation techniques, she also does exceptional work in stress relaxation areas and overcoming addictions. In that area, speaking of addictions, I can speak from personal experience because it was Shawn's caring style, technique, and her intuitive ability that really helped me quit smoking several years ago when no one else had been able to help me at all. Shawn is creative, intelligent, sensitive, and I would call her a gentle master of her practice. Tonight, she's going to give us some insights about the various areas of her practice, the many ways hypnosis and other techniques can assist us in overcoming some of our own challenges. I'm really looking forward to it, and so is she. So I think we should get started. Shawn, are you with us?
I am.
Oh, good. Nice to have you with us, and we look forward to this exchange, if you will.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So why don't you give us a little bit of background, Shawn, about how you got into this field and how you developed it along the way?
I did not have this as my plan of things to do when I did my training and for being a midwife. I figured that was something I was going to do for the rest of my life. And
so you started out as a midwife?
I did, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And in Ontario at the time, midwifery was in a uncertain legal state. So people were practicing midwifery, but there wasn't any guidelines and structure to the whole process. So I was part of that group, which was very interesting. And then when legislation came in 1994, and I was practicing in the hospital setting as well as home births, it was exciting. It was very fast-paced, and I loved the work.
I bet.
When I did my basic training, I had read Lamaze's book, and a lot of people know about Lamaze classes. Fernand Lamaze was a physician in France in the he published a book in the 1950s, and the beginning of his book talks about just the tens of thousands of births in Russia, he said, where women used hypnosis very successfully. And but he was doing something different, the Lamaze method.
Right.
And I know now that the Lamaze method is basically hypnosis in a style that he sort of put out. But that just got my attention. I just thought that would be really cool to do that work. But at the time, hypnosis in Ontario was only MDs could practice, and so I didn't see myself going to medical school just to be able to practice hypnosis. So I just assumed that would never happen. But, life has interesting twists and turns. And when things were changing for me in 98, I did the hypnosis training just thinking I would take a little bit of time off. But I've been busy ever since doing this.
Oh, good for you. So tell us more about what you're doing and how you developed it and all the different areas that you work at.
Yeah, well, pretty much all hypnotists have basic training in smoking cessation, weight management, and stress management. So that's a basic level training with the National Guild of Hypnotists. And then people can go on to do additional kinds of areas of interest. So my area, is near and dear to my heart is childbirth preparation. Typically, most of the people who come to my prenatal classes are interested in natural birth. But sometimes, women want to be getting medication. The common one in childbirth is an epidural. And sometimes they're frightened of the process, and so they'll use hypnosis to overcome those fears. So I do the birth. Fertility is an area that unfortunately is growing enormously. So fertility issues and challenges, are an area that hypnosis can really help, because just being more stressed is just going to affect the body's hormonal system, and the body interprets that by just shutting down fertility.
Interesting. Good one. Okay. So that's been developing, that part of your practice has been increasing, I guess.
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, yes, it is unfortunate. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I guess we would probably say that the dominant part of your practice is working with childbirth issues, before, after, during, etc. But for this group of listeners, for the most part, we're just maybe a little beyond that and broader. Maybe if you could tell us a little more about the other kinds of work and techniques that you use, and what some really creative examples of how it has really, really helped, even in your childbirth practice as well. Give us some good ones, because I would like the listeners to hear how the changes and how it affects people in such a positive way.
Right. Well, it's just my nature that I kind of approach every appointment with a client in a way that I'm looking for the place where we can kind of more easily make these changes. So if somebody's coming to me and saying, I have these anxious feelings about, needles or quitting smoking or something like that, then I like to get a sense of, okay, what's that all about? What's that look like, sound like, feel like, and what would success be to you? So leaving the appointment today, those anxious feelings were running maybe at a 7 or 8. Success would be perhaps a 2 or a 3. And for the most part, they're not even sure that that's believable, but I can see that within that hour and a half that we can use the tapping, a lot of these energy therapies, the tapping, the matrix reimprinting, the hypnosis, to just basically do a 180 on that.
Yes,
so probably about half.
Go ahead.
Sorry, probably about half my practice is the childbirth and fertility, and the other half is a real range. So I don't generally see kids that much, but I've had a few kids just recently, 8 years old, that kind of thing, and sleep issues, all the way into the adult years. So sleep issues, quitting smoking, public speaking. So there's a real range of areas that can be addressed.
So a lot of anxieties and fear-based problems. Is that pretty much that's what you're helping with?
I tend to get that group, in part because I really like it, and I do well with that. My challenge is send them out at the end of the appointment feeling much better, that they feel like they can just breathe, they can, deal with that thing in a way that's not overwhelming anymore.
So would it be done in one session, 10 sessions? And on average, how long does it take to move someone from a place of total anxiety to one where they're functioning at a much better rate?
Right.
Or does it vary from
It really varies from person to person. The research in the smoking cessation with hypnosis, for the most part, shows long-term success with a model of about 4 to 5 sessions. So people do 4 to 5 sessions of hypnosis. They're also doing work in between. So whether it's through self-hypnosis or listening to a specific recording. And, you can quit smoking with one appointment, but it really varies from person to person. So I had a gal 2 years.
Oh, go ahead. That's what I was going to ask. What would be the methodology that you would use that really shows us how one can shift from where they are and why? What is the whole, what makes that process work? Give us a little bit of that kind of information, if you can.
Right. Well, the model that hypnotists use for the human mind is not a fancy one. We sort of talk about the mind being like an iceberg. So the conscious is a smaller part that's above the waterline. The subconscious is a big part below the waterline. And all of the programs, so, I hate to go into computer analogy, but all of the programs that are running in the subconscious mind, for the most part, are wonderful programs. So we're, our health, our well-being, all of that is supported through that work that we don't have to think about consciously. And that's a good thing. But typically people end up, coming to see me when their top mind, their conscious mind, the will, can't seem to budge that habit or that belief or that emotional response.
Right.
So that's what I go looking for. I go looking for what's the belief, what's the thing we need to change here. Because for the most part, if somebody's 99%, the subconscious mind is mostly on board with, say, quitting smoking, then they're not going to come and see me. Because they just remind themselves, I'm done with that now, and life's great, and I'm so happy to not be shelling out $10 a pack, et cetera, et cetera. And, my clothes smell better, I feel great, my lungs are clear in the morning when I wake up. But I'm remembering a gal who came to see me a few years back who, as we were talking about it, she said, out loud, she said, cigarettes are my friend.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, well, there you go.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to take away her best friend. So her subconscious mind is going to resist that. So then we have to work at letting her subconscious mind know that it's just a belief. Beliefs can be changed, and it's time now to make these changes so that you're moving into all the success that you want for your life.
Perfect. That is, I could just, sort of envision that myself, because really I was, as you know, a very long-term smoker. And, that feeling of, hey, the cigarettes are always there. They don't leave you like, husbands and lovers and friends sometimes and things and people.
Yeah.
And that one's just Mr. Ms. Reliable. So, it was really, it's a hard thing to let go of. Well, we all know that. But the way, the part of the way you did it, and I mean, I had actually many years before I saw you, I had tried hypnosis with somebody else. And what was so unique and really beautiful about your way of doing it, Shawn, was the fact that you really delved into me and what my specific issues were and my sensitivities and addressed those. And you addressed them in a very sensitive, as I introduced, a very sensitive, intuitive way, so that you got what the main things were, the real tough things that were my challenges, and addressed them in a way that was very calming and very easy for me to listen to and really get it, that I wanted to let go of it, those issues. And the issues, of course, were the cigarettes were substitutes or cover-ups or whatever for those issues. And so, and you were so generous as well in that you created a CD specifically for me and my issues so that I could, and it was not just a taped one that everybody gets. This was very, very personalized. So that's the part that I really appreciated about you. And so it's that, and you're at the other part of your practice, the hypnosis for sure, but the way you do all the other techniques that you use. Can you talk about, the one I loved was the Ho'oponopono Ono and how it works? Can you just describe that to the listeners? I just don't know if I said it right. Did I?
I think it's called Ho'oponopono, yeah. It's apparently an old Hawaiian healing modality. I don't know a lot about it other than it's fast, it's easy, doesn't cost a penny, and the darn stuff works. Mm-hmm. And I'll do it in the car. Like if somebody cuts me off, I'll just be doing the Ho'oponopono, and I might even do it aloud. Most of the time it's just sort of in that space between my ears.
And what do you want to describe? Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yeah, it's four simple statements. It is, and from person to person it varies, exactly what the statements are. But my understanding is, it's I am sorry.
Right.
Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Right. And they are powerful. They are very
powerful, yeah.
Powerfully
it's very high vibration
yes.
energy.
I guess that's why it's so powerful, yes.
Yeah. So if, say, somebody cuts me off, then I would be, again, it's not my responsibility to deal with that person's upset. So, because probably that person's upset in the car for whatever reason, maybe didn't even see me. Not my responsibility to do that person's work for them. But what I'm doing is I'm addressing the energy, because that experience is showing me something that up until that moment I wasn't even aware of, that maybe I have some irritability in me that I'm not seeing. So I'm apologizing and asking for the healing or the releasing of this upset in me that this other person is showing me, because the people around us mirror what's going on in us. And as humans, our tendency is to point to that other person and say, you're wearing polka dots, I don't like polka dots, you need to stop doing that so that I feel better. I'm just using that as a silly example, but
let's say, a good one.
You need to stop doing that so I feel better, and we don't have control over other people.
Right on.
We do have control over us. And if I can use the Ho'oponopono as a way to shift my internal state, and I can just be repeating these four statements over and over and over again in my mind until I feel that shift, and then I can kind of continue on in my day. And I'm not chewing on that at the end of the day when I'm going to bed and thinking, that person cut me off. I've let it go. And I'm a Gemini, and I can chew on that stuff. Trust me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm partially that too, but I find when we say those kinds of statements, you're talking about a higher vibration, it's almost like being in touch with the universe, with our higher self, whatever you want to call it. It connects us, I think. Grounds us, connects us, however you want to put it, but it really does help calm me down and even me out, as opposed to the reactive part of me. Do you agree with? Is that how you sort of get from it too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we have so much help from the angelic realm, from our guides, from all of this sort of support that I can't see, I can't hear. I just know is available, but as I go throughout my day, I forget, and and to ask for help for even something silly, from my perspective, like a parking spot, is just a way to kind of interact and to remember that we are divine beings, and we so easily forget this, and we get wrapped up in our emotional reactions, and it's all human, but it's we're in a really remarkable time where the energies are shifting so dramatically, and it's like being on a roller coaster, and it's exciting and wonderful, but holy smokes, sometimes it can feel rough.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're going so fast, and then we'll move forward so quickly, and then all of a sudden we'll go, whoops, whipped right back, and from my learnings, it's a lot of that is the ego mind that's bringing us, that's checking on us, and that's making us react like, from a very past earthly kind of way, in a negative way, actually. But so, just back to your techniques, you use them yourself so healthfully and positively. I really love that, Shawn. But what would be sort of your major challenges in dealing with others to get them beyond to the point where they need to be? Just, what are one or two of the things that have really been kind of where you've seen it, a real big challenge where it's really been a tough one, and then you've seen it move in the positive results? Can you give us one of those, or is that too much to ask off the top?
I think that, as I look at an overview of sort of all of the different kinds of work I do, the one that's the most challenging is fertility work, because it's just devastating when, a cycle does not work out. And, my heart goes with them on that whole process. And so the highs are high, but man, the lows are just, they can be brutal. So getting myself out of the way so that I can really be there for my client in a way that's more than just, because if I just sit and read the same darned hypnosis script over and over again, I'll go out of my mind. I can't
you won't be as
that.
effective because of it, of course.
Yeah,
right?
And so being, really bringing myself to this, I think anybody who is a good practitioner is that's such an important part of the work. So whether your talent lies with reflexology or Reiki or acupuncture or whatever that is, it's the energy you bring to it. And the modality just needs to be something that makes sense to you, that you like doing.
Right.
And so,
beautifully put. I like the way you expressed that. That was great. Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and so just it's wonderful when clients say, yeah, now I'm pregnant, and now I'm 12 weeks, and now I'm 28 weeks, and now my baby's born, and it's like, oh wow, such
what
a
high! Isn't that wonderful? That's so exciting, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
Oh, I can see why it. Yes, it's often like so many things in life. The biggest challenges, when jumped over and met, have the biggest reward, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Shawn, I got to ask you, a lot of our listeners are long distance. It's worldwide, primarily North American. But even though you do most of your work certainly in the Greater Toronto area in Canada, are you available long distance by telephone to do some of your work? Can you do some of the hypnosis work that in that way?
Yeah, there are hypnotists that do that. For the most part, I find light relaxation, light hypnosis really easy to do over the phone. The tapping is super easy to do on the phone. And then, Skype, then it makes it easy for me to be able to kind of connect visually with somebody and work that way. So totally.
Perfect.
And I'm beefing up my library of MP3s so that's something that people can just download something and then work with that.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Glad to hear that. All right, so I hope everybody heard that Shawn is not just local. She can do her work right across the wires, and thank goodness for technology today. We can do almost anything. Shawn, I'd really like you to share with the listeners your website address, and then they can contact you if at all if there's some interest and you can arrange to do that kind of work with whomever is going to get in touch with you. So, yeah, please share with us your website.
Well, the one that is pretty much everything to do about childbirth, so it may not be a fit for some people, but it's www.ChildbirthJoy.com, and ChildbirthJoy is all one word. My email is Shawn, SHAWN, @ChildbirthJoy.com, and I would be more than happy to send a free MP3. It's self-hypnosis, so it's pretty simple and easy. Runs around 10 minutes. So if somebody's interested in learning self-hypnosis, applying it to themselves, it's a pretty neat process that I take them through over those 10 minutes, and then they can start plugging in their own positive hypnosis commands.
Fabulous.
So just email me, and I'll send that off. Yeah.
Excellent. Very generous. I hope everybody heard that. That would be a really wonderful, at least beginning, to see how hypnosis works. Shawn will give a free MP3 when you contact her. And again, it's Shawn, the email address, Shawn, SHAWN, @childbirthjoy.com, is it? Was
Yes.
.com, wasn't it, Shawn? Yeah, okay.
.com, yeah.
Yeah. And, that would be great. I think listeners would love that. So let's keep in touch. And I think we're almost out of time tonight, Shawn. It has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us and all the really wonderful and interesting information. I really look forward. It's my pleasure. And I hope we certainly can get together again in not too long. And I certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for the invite.
My pleasure. We'll see you soon. Thanks again.
Thanks. Okay.
All right. So that was really quite fascinating, and Shawn is just a really wonderful person and is really helping to do some wonderful work. For all of you listening, in another way, please pass along to your friends and your family that this month I have special rates for all of my services. And that includes the in-depth numerology readings that comes with a full report, as well as my career and relationship counseling activities. So if you want further information on the kinds of things that I do and to get in touch with me, certainly I'll give you my website. Check it out. It's www.creativelinks.info. That's www.creativelinks.info. And if you'd like to ask any specific questions of me or set up an appointment, please don't hesitate to call or email me. All the information is there on the website. So I think I'm going to pretty much close the show in a moment with a beautiful quote, as I usually do. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. That's by Carolyn Miss. So let's try to silence our minds for the rest of this evening, and I wish you a beautiful night's sleep until next time, probably in a couple of weeks.